The only thing that Grace brought up that might be a little weird is your video, she's the person talking, that it might not show the video of the person talking. You know what I'm talking about? Okay. So I don't really know. We'll adjust that way. I have to like.
And the video.
Grace, you want to go unmute yourself and then.
Sure. Am I muted?
You're muted. It says the little red dot on the speaker.
I'm not muted on Zoom. Oh, on the speaker.
Yeah.
Do I have to do both of them?
Nope, just the red dot one.
They're both red.
Yeah, so just hit one of them and
Okay.
it'll turn blue.
Turned off.
Okay, then you're good.
Okay, that's good. Okay.
But they won't be able to see all of you. That's the use factor. Yeah.
Right. Your audio is live.
Okay.
Video is not showing up because it's not the one talking, it's just the screen.
Is this showing up?
So yeah. Do you want to try
You
for
can.
now?
You can do whatever you want.
If you're on the live stream, welcome. We're just working through some technical difficulties. Oh, you don't have a camera on this, do you?
I do.
Okay.
I have a webcam like right there.
Perfect. Why don't we just try that for now, and then we'll switch to that camera when we do the big group. So you should
Where
be
did
good.
the Zoom thing go?
Yeah.
Where did the like? Okay.
Does your camera have a camera in the other? Oh,
It's like-
it's the wrong camera. There we go. Okay, you're set.
Can I see where it is?
See what?
What the camera view is?
It's gonna be you.
But I want to make sure that I'm like in the frame because if this is
That's you.
okay. Let me like
It won't update. Just yeah, perfect.
as long as you can see my face, I guess it's fine.
Yeah, you're live. There's like 6 people on there.
Great.
watching you.
Fantastic. Welcome everybody.
So you can see it when you heard. And then if you're doing a big group thing, or basically once you're done on the screen, then you should your camera will show up. But right now it's
I'm not worried about me. I don't have
So it's fine for
everything is fine. It's online, they can hear everything. They can see everything, it's just not this camera, it's from here.
Okay.
So whoever are you?
Not very.
Yeah.
Is it working?
Yeah.
Do I need to unmute Neil?
Just if the audio should be, as long as it doesn't have a red dot, then you should be good.
Oh, we're good to go. All right. All right. Thank you for those who are on YouTube for bearing with us. This is always a little bit awkward because I'm talking to people on the computer as well as you in the room. So bear with me as I try to engage with everybody here. So my name is Lindsay Hardy. I work on the Energy Challenge program here with Grace and Neil. You're going to hear from Grace and get to meet her in just a minute and hear about all the awesome work that she's been working on so far this year. And then Neil Baumsgaard also joins us on the energy team. He's also our tech aficionado. So thank you, Neil, for helping us get everything set up today. This is the last power hour in a series that we've called Homegrown Renewables this year, where we focus on ways that we can generate energy locally and regionally. And we're hoping that as we embark on more energy planning at the city level and county level, these will be able to be some resources for us to shape conversations about where we would like to see our energy come from. So our mission here at the Environmental Center is to embed sustainability into daily life in Central Oregon. And we do that in a variety of ways. One that we'll be talking about today is by utilizing strategic partnerships and engaging with the community to embark on dialogue to start and ignite new conversations about energy and waste and really pertinent conversations to help us reduce our climate footprint. So there are a variety of ways that you can engage with us, whether that be coming to have a conversation like today, whether that be getting our newsletter and finding out what other organizations and what we're up to in the community or volunteering. And if you have any other questions about how you can engage with us, definitely let us know after the presentation and we would love to chat with you more about that. So the partners that I was referring to that we've been working with on this project are Sustainable Northwest in the RARE program. Sustainable Northwest engages in conservation work across the state, and they convene a collaboration of communities in the Making Energy Work Coalition to help spearhead more energy and energy efficiency and renewable energy programs across the state. And then Grace is going to dig into what the RARE program is a little bit more. So as I was mentioning before, we've done a couple of these power hours in the Homegrown Renewable series. And if you have any other questions about past topics, you can visit those on our website. We dug into geothermal energy, community solar, biomass, and talked about community-wide renewable energy. So you can check all of those out on our website as well. And then we have a few other upcoming events, including Green Drinks next week at Seed the Table and Sisters. You can get more information about that on our website. And then a couple other energy events that we have coming up are the 21st Green Tour, which will be happening in September on September 24th, as well as a local energy forum that Grace is going to give you more information on as well. All right, Grace, I'm going to hand it over to you to dig into the work that we've been doing to start some grassroots conversations about energy planning in Deschutes County and some of the great work that she's done this year through her time here with the RARE AmeriCorps program. Let me switch over to you.
Great, thanks everyone. Let's go back to the beginning. Present. Yeah, so welcome everyone. I'm here to give you a little update on some of the projects that I've been doing this year, specifically revolving around local energy planning. So first, a little bit about me. My name is Grace Andrews. I'm the Energy Program Coordinator here at the Environmental Center, and I am a RARE AmeriCorps member. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that. So the RARE AmeriCorps program is an AmeriCorps program run out of the University of Oregon. RARE stands for Resource Assistance for Rural Environments, and we have members placed all across the state of Oregon to help expand organizational capacity and do a bunch of really cool projects. So I'm placed here at the Environmental Center and also working with Sustainable Northwest in this role. And that's how I've been able to do this exciting work. Some of the stuff we're going to cover today. Why do we need a county level energy plan? Some of you guys might already know that Bend has a community climate action plan already that's in effect. So what's the benefit of doing that at a county level? What we've learned from other communities, I've been doing a lot of research and interfacing with other communities that have done similar energy planning work, and I've been able to learn a lot from them. And then sort of our approach to creating an energy plan for Deschutes County, how we're planning on doing that, and how we're going to approach that from a grassroots perspective, and the next steps that we're planning for that. And then we'll have some interactivity here, and you guys can be part of the conversation and give some input if you'd like. And that includes you all online too. There's online ways to interface with this as well. You'll be getting a link in the chat, I think. Okay, so why an energy plan for Deschutes County? Like I said, Bend has the Community Climate Action Plan, and that's doing like amazing work, but we can do more. An energy plan will help to decrease our climate impact. The latest IPCC report has told us again that we're not doing nearly enough to fight climate change. And so we need to take action as soon as we can and as strongly as we can to be part of the solution to stop emitting greenhouse gases. So that's kind of a given, but there are also lots of other compelling reasons to be part of this as well. So we're hoping to, like I said, in addition to what Bend has done, we want to have collaborations across different cities in the county. Deschutes County, as you may know, is growing really, really fast. And we think that provides an opportunity for us to interact and plan for that growth in a way that will be sustainable. And working together with the county and with all of the different cities and sort of putting our heads together instead of each going ahead with our own individual plans and having to do everything all over again, I think will be a really great opportunity. And then the other big benefit is that an effective energy plan is going to save a lot of money in energy costs. So I'll show you a little bit more about that. But basically, if we're planning effectively for our energy use, we're able to be more energy efficient. We're able to find cheaper sources of energy and support our economy in a sustainable way. And it will help businesses, families, and governments all save money. All right, moving on. Here's our first bit of interactiveness. So I would love to hear some answers about where you think our energy comes from here in Deschutes County. Anyone? Pacific Power, yes. Does anyone know the kinds of places Pacific Power gets their energy? Or other utilities? Some is coal, yeah. Hydro, yeah. Electricity. Natural gas. Solar, yeah. So something that I want to point out is the difference between the types of energy that we consume and the types of energy that end up being produced in Oregon. So these graphics are lifted from the Department of Energy, Oregon Department of Energy biennial energy report, which is great if you love graphs about energy. I'd recommend anybody check it out. But basically, here, this first pie chart is the sources of electricity that get used in Oregon. So this is from all the utilities together. You can see a big chunk of it is hydro, which is great, but there's more coal and natural gas. If you put those together, that's quite a bit bigger than the hydro portion. And there's, there's some other stuff in there, nuclear, wind, solar. So this is the energy that comes out of your socket generally is coming from these sources. But then to contrast over here, I have the pie chart of where all of the energy that gets produced in Oregon, primary energy production in Oregon. So coming from Oregon's natural resources, what are the sources of that? And you can see that a big chunk of that is hydro, wind, little tiny bit of natural gas and geothermal, and then solar and biomass as well. So you can see that from these two charts, a lot of the electricity that we use comes from away, does not come from Oregon. Some of it does, some of the hydro especially, but a lot of the energy in this pie chart is imported from somewhere else. Oops, sorry. I would have to pull a bunch more graphs to try to figure that out. Actually, if you go onto the ODA website, they have energy by the numbers, and it has this giant diagram of all of the sources of energy and where they come from and where they go. And it's very interesting, but I didn't want to put it up here and have to go through it step by step. Yeah, so that's kind of part of what we are working on as part of this energy inventory that we're doing. So contacting our local utilities and saying, hey, where are you getting your energy from? So that's in the works, but we're still in the analyzing phase of that. And yeah, so basically, and then also the other thing that this sort of tells you is that most of the energy produced in Oregon is renewable or is a lot more environmentally friendly than natural gas and coal, which makes up only the tiniest little bit. Now we do produce energy from natural gas and coal that are trucked to Oregon and make energy in power plants that are located in Oregon. But that's a whole nother can of worms. And those are all still, I count as imported energy because we're importing the materials. So that's just like a little bit of background on why local energy is a good idea to focus on. And yeah, I have some more general benefits of local energy production and energy efficiency. Another thing that is happening is, so that was this was a graph of electricity. We also have all of the transportation emissions and other types of emissions like on-site fossil fuel combustion, like your gas stove, that all contributes to this separately, right? So this is just electricity. But yeah, so local energy production and energy efficiency. We can also reduce the amount of energy we're using through energy efficiency, and that's just like a win-win for everybody. You don't have to pay for energy you don't use, right? So local energy, if we focus on producing more local energy, that'll create clean energy and energy efficiency jobs that will support our economy. More local energy production means less importing energy from out of state, which in addition to being probably dirtier than the energy we're producing here, it is expensive to import things from other places. And local production is focused more on these renewable projects. So if a greater share of our energy comes from this local production, we're decreasing our carbon footprint. And of course, everybody saves money. Solar is one of the cheapest ways to produce energy now, which is really amazing. It's come so far. All right. And now, oh yeah, you have a question? Yeah, so this chart, this is electricity. Electricity is around 42% of the energy in Oregon, and then the other percentage is split kind of half and half between transportation and on-site energy use, direct fuel use. So yeah, that would be gas. It also includes woody biomass and other things like that, and any kind of energy that's consumed on site for like industrial purposes. So yeah, this is only 42% of our energy use here. Okay, and now moving on a little bit from the statistics and talking a little more about how we are planning on starting this energy planning process. How are we going to get this process started? So this year we've been consulting with stakeholders and community members through a series of meetings. We had several stakeholder meetings and met with people from the county, from utilities, from community groups, from cities, and from irrigation districts, and talked to all of them about what would you want to see in an energy plan like this? What are your concerns? What are you excited about doing in the energy sphere? So that's been really great to learn more about that. We've been learning from other communities, as I mentioned, and researching best practices. I'll tell you guys a little bit more about that in a second. And we're working on taking the next steps. And our next steps that we're hoping to do are to create a planning team or an advisory team to start actually working on a plan. So learning from other communities. So this is some really exciting work that I've been doing. We have a couple of different tools that we've been developing based on our conversations with other communities that have done this. Two of those being Hood River County, who developed an energy plan in 2016, I believe, adopted in 2016. And they have like a really amazing group of people working on that have been happy to talk to us and tell us about their process. And then the City of Talent also passed an energy plan. They actually incorporated their energy plan into their city comprehensive plan and made it legally binding, which is a really interesting way of going about it. And it's been so great to talk to people from these communities and learn more about what their process was and what they learned. So based on my conversations with people, I have been writing up a report on best practices for energy planning in rural Oregon, which is going to be a really exciting resource because we know that a lot of communities are interested in energy planning, but might not know where to start or have the resources to sort of barrel through things the way that a big city might. So we're hoping this can be a resource for communities like that. And this features lessons learned from those communities and other communities that we've talked to. It details unique opportunities, challenges, and resources for energy planning in a rural Oregon context. And that will be published online very soon. And then also, we've been working on an energy inventory toolkit. So as we've been collecting data for Deschutes County, we've been, alongside that data collection, we've been developing a toolkit that we can hopefully distribute to other communities who are interested in doing an energy inventory. So an energy inventory is like basically where is our energy coming from, right? And who's using it and how are we using it? And where are areas that we can improve that? So that's what we're working on building right now, but we're also simultaneously developing this toolkit that is a spreadsheet-based tool that will be easy to use to build an energy profile. And it includes detailed instructions and framework that will allow other communities to use in the future. We're working on this with OSU-Cascades interns and also a group of volunteers at TEC. And we're in the process of using it to build an energy inventory that we then will be able to share publicly with everybody. Next steps and how people can get involved. So one thing that I'm really excited about is that on November 19th, we're having an all-day local energy forum. And that'll have an overview. We'll have that energy inventory ready to share at that point, and we'll be able to show everybody how we're doing with our energy use and where we might be able to improve, and sort of be able to use that inventory as a jumping off point for saying, here's our starting point, right? So where do we want to go from here? And how do we want to use this information to develop an energy plan that will help us make sustainable energy choices in the future? So that'll be a really fun event. We're going to have some presenters from other communities. And yeah, we're going to show, we're hopefully going to use that as a launching point for, okay, now we have a group of people who are interested in working on this a little bit more deeply. If you guys are interested in joining an advisory group, contact me or contact Lindsay. And be sure to keep an eye out for other environmental center events and be part of the conversation. And these are questions for you. And if you have questions for me, please speak up. But we wanted this to be kind of an interactive event. So let me know what local energy topics you're interested in learning more about. How can our forum this fall be successful? If you guys are interested in going, what would you like to see there? And then we also have some questions. If you're in the room, they're up on the wall on some giant sticky paper about what would you do if you had unlimited resources to put towards green energy in Deschutes County? And then we have what's called the SWOT analysis, which asks what are some strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats related to developing energy projects or developing an energy plan for the county. So there are sticky notes up there, there are pens, there are markers. Everybody, please feel free to get up and mill around and ask me questions and put your thoughts on there. And that goes for you all online as well. There's an online version that I think Lindsay will be posting in the chat. Yeah, but let's have a conversation. Does anyone have thoughts about?
We have a lot of wind around here.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know of any wind energy projects that are in the works, but that could be a really interesting thing to do. And I know there's now like you can do like micro wind projects too, which is like really fascinating. I'm not sure totally how that works. Oh yeah, pass out sticky notes.
Structure height restrictions
Uh-huh.
are lower than you have to go to get the really good.
The good wind, yeah.
Speed. I mean, putting out fiber and putting all wind towers right next to that, right next to the event. I don't know how well that's. Yeah, the big power, the big wind tower companies, they're looking for places where, you know, they can make a large investment and get a lot of power. And you don't do that without using it.
We've already done parts of it.
Yeah,
And one or two projects that asked for variances from some height stuff that was sort of micro scale.
that I don't know about, but there was a proposal out in the far eastern corner of Deschutes County that ran into sagebrush.
Oh.
You know, it's not that fast core habitat for sagebrush, but
But outside of our, are other parts of Oregon where there are large
They're large.
installations of wind farms.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In less populated areas.
You go to the public works, you know, like this, Deschutes County. That's where they've got like hundreds of megawatts of capacity installed.
Yeah. Yeah, but there's definitely a lot of red tape, I think, that goes with any large construction project. So that's definitely a barrier to sometimes to renewable projects as well.
Are those projects already, going to a certain, when they build them, are they used for the local communities? Do they go to major utilities? How is the energy distributed from that?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So,
Make sure you repeat the question. That we won't-
oh yeah. So sorry about that. Sorry about that, everybody online. So the question was, when you see a big renewables project like that, where is that energy going, right? Or yeah, wind. And I think it depends. I think a lot of times they have an agreement with the utility where the utility buys that energy, but then what the utility does with that energy is kind of up to them, right? So it could be going straight to California if that's what the utility thinks is the most profitable way to operate.
You don't know for sure. I never have certain communities purchase these powers for their own local use.
Well, yeah, so that's a completely different thing. So there are like community projects. Normally those community projects, so the question was whether communities sometimes purchase those projects for their own use. And there are community projects for sure, but normally those community projects are smaller scale, so they might not be that big utility scale project. And the energy from those smaller community projects does go directly towards the community or towards a specific entity, like a specific business might say, I'll buy like 50% of this project or something like that. And then the rest of it is sort of distributed to the community. Can everybody hear me okay? Oh, okay. I see what you're doing.
So when you're talking about localized sources of energy, or are you talking about local distributed energy sources? The variety of renewable energy included in that are not necessarily tied to the main grid?
Yeah, well, there's a few different ways you can go, right? So even those big utility scale projects do provide some revenue to the community. So there are still community benefits, and that's still, reducing greenhouse gases on a larger scale. But I mean, I would love to see a bunch of community scale projects where people are sharing that energy directly in the community. And Oregon now has our community solar program, which is one really great way to do this. So you have your community solar array, and anybody in the community can choose to sign up for community solar, and that appears on their power bill, and they get a discount, and they're using clean energy for their power. So there are a lot of different ways that you could do something like that. And then there are, even smaller scale projects like in conduit hydroelectric power that might, if we have that in canals or something, that might go, directly to farmers to use that energy, or at least the energy reduction is going directly to them. So, yeah.
There are some solar farms here. Are they local only? Are they going to local energy sources, or are they tied into other, like Pacific Power?
I'm not sure who owns that big solar farm on 97. Anybody, if somebody knows. But yeah, I'm sure they have a power purchase agreement.
Under 10 megawatts community, like a community scale energy project, can basically get a guarantee from one of the utilities that they will buy power. They want to make their own own because it's cheaper for them to do a bigger scale project. So, under 10 megawatts, they're mandated to accept that power and give them a agreement.
So it's probably going into the grid at night and being distributed across the whole grid, but it needs to the portion of energy on the grid is greater than solar.
And then the specifically for Ben or Deschutes County for only use case.
I don't think it's actually possible technically to really do that. It's really just adding to the mix.
Right now.
Yeah, so it's saying if you need 100 units of energy, we're gonna make 3 more of those units be from solar in this circumstance. And only say 1 or not.
And there are like, if you want to do like building scale projects that are like, you can do like solar direct heating, and then like that energy is coming from the sun and heating your house or your business or whatever. But those are less common, I think. Yeah, and I know we've been talking about energy projects, but an energy plan also extends, right? Like we saw that electricity, but that's only 42% of the energy we use. So an energy plan also extends to transportation, right? And encouraging electric vehicles and increasing electric charging infrastructure, and even encouraging our communities to be more walkable. So it can be really broad. Yeah. Oh, that's okay.
One of the big issues for North America, United States, Deschutes County, encourage somebody to use an electric car. We still have to provide the resources to make batteries. So Oregon is sitting on one of the largest lithium deposits. How do you get the state or the county to change their, if you can't access the lithium, you can't build batteries.
Yeah, that's kind of one of the bigger dilemmas of switching everything to electric, right? And having all this battery production. And I know that scientists are working on, better types of batteries that use better metals that are like less problematic to get. But yeah, that's a huge concern, I think. And not one that's easy to solve, but definitely one that people are working on. And as far as I'm aware, there's no huge lithium deposit in Deschutes County. So that's not something that we would target in a county level plan like we're trying to develop here. But yeah, that's a sticky problem for sure. Yeah.
You're talking about the purchase of electric, you're talking about cars. How about making it mandating that we no longer add natural gas to the building construction and conversion to all of them?
Yeah, the question was how about mandating that buildings go electric or that we stop using natural gas. I mean, I would love to see that to ban natural gas connections for new construction or phase out for older homes. But yeah, that would have to be something that we would collaborate on an action plan for. I mean, I think it would be great personally, but it is like people love their gas stoves and
Well, it couldn't be done overnight, obviously.
no.
But I think if you started with new building, new construction, and then provided programs, it could be done gradually.
Yeah, and I
providing more charges for electric vehicles.
Mhm. Yeah.
There is a petition by the way out right now for that very project.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know there's been a lot of, especially here, right, where we're growing so rapidly and new construction is going up all the time. People are putting a lot of thought into how we're regulating those new buildings and advocating for those to be more energy efficient and cleaner and, all of the above. So that's definitely in addition to, going electric for cars and transportation. Homes and buildings are another huge part of that. electricity usage and natural gas usage. So those are definitely things that we would want to look at in an energy plan.
Yeah, the only way yourself off of the road, you have to start doing it. And you keep putting it into construction for the last 20 or 30 years, it makes it a whole lot harder.
Right, yeah, so the quicker we have action on constructions, that's the better, because those are going to be around for a long time, even longer than cars. And feel free, yeah, if you guys missed some stuff.
Are there any, the county seems to not want to do anything as far as the state, the county government? You know, we have county buildings getting built and designed, and there's no mandates for solar, like roofs or anything like that, or even so they get the lower need for the electricity. How would that going to be changed? I mean, if all the county buildings and school districts in Deschutes County basically have green roofs or solar fields, that would cut down a massive amount of hydrocarbons.
Or even
Yeah.
like the depot. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, so our plan that we're working on is going to be community based. So there are a lot of governments that do internal plans for government buildings, government operations, and that's not something that we're doing because we're like, this is the environmental center. We don't have control over that kind of thing, right? So we do plan on working with the county and hopefully having some collaboration with them and support from them. And hopefully if we get people to sit down and talk about this, that can be part of what we're asking. And our plan for this is, we're coming at this from a grassroots perspective, right? So we're a local nonprofit organization, and we want to be representing the community when we come to the county and say, hey, a lot of people are really excited about this, and this is what we would like to do. We would love to have your support to try and do this. So that's kind of our plan, but we haven't thought through any specific, hey, the county should be doing this and this and this. Like, that's not necessarily the relationship that we want right off the bat. Yeah. I mean, this will all be part of the discussion, and county buildings are buildings in the county, and if we're saying buildings in the county should be up to these standards, that's going to include any governmental buildings as well. Yeah. Phil, do you have any comments on that?
There is a requirement that all public facilities, large public buildings, are required to take 1.5% of the budget, or the capital budget for that project, and dedicate that to clean energy projects. So each building that the county builds, we are either putting in that much solar panel, or we're putting it into account for, a larger, more like aggregated project. We got 200,000 for this building, and 50,000 for that building, and 70,000 for that building, and then we're gonna pool all that money and just do one large installation to have the North County Health Campus that we're building, or something like that. So there is that's a state requirement that applies to not just the county, but school districts, cities.
Are they required to be lead construction?
No.
Yeah, so they're doing this, but they're not going to require the optimal energy efficiency in the buildings themselves.
Yeah, but just because it's not required doesn't mean that we're not building pretty high performance buildings. I put you in touch with the facilities director in the Randall. The buildings that we're building are, they may not have a LEED Gold certified, but they're generally decent performance. Decent performance.
Do they do natural gas?
Yes.
Do construction well? But it doesn't have.
Well, no, it doesn't have to, but, that would take a much more substantial commitment than the current board of commissioners is.
Board of Commissioners is not going to be there forever. Whether they know it or not.
Yeah, and that can be,
I'm just saying, like, to me, thermal energy needs in a large building, it is a pretty substantial step up in cost from, natural gas, hot water, and natural gas, of course, air, and something else.
When they calculate the costs, you know how long they amortize that costs.
I do, yeah, I mean,
I mean, I'm just wondering, like, I understand it's substantial upfront cost. So, like, if it's a 20 or 30 or 40-year building construct that they use,
we do use like, it's not necessarily, it's about dollars and cents, like,
right?
it's not about the carbon impact. It is, in the realm of electricity, there's a lot of subsidy, and in the realm of thermal energy, there's not. And so to get people to do something different, it's, we need to change the incentives as well as, because we can pass all sorts of laws, but unless you make it the things within reach for people, you're not, still not going to do them.
Do they have to be at the federal level, which will make a difference, or the state?
No, he said there's massive state subsidy for renewable electricity generation. There's just not massive state subsidy for clean thermal energy. Because otherwise people could do more ground source heat pumps, geothermal, solar hot water, all sorts of stuff.
Increased insulation, better design.
But
all things that-
it's not gonna happen without adequate incentives to put it within reach for people.
How much incentive do we need and what's happening in the country?
What I'm saying is for thermal energy generation, there really are very few incentives. There's a massive amount of incentives for power generation, clean power generation.
How does thermal differ between power?
So thermal energy is basically either space heat in buildings, hot water, or process heat. And you can use electricity to make heat, but typically, historically, we've used electricity to do other things besides make heat. And we burn stuff to make heat.
And the electricity is being powered by, wind, solar, and other sources. That is even more important.
But you can subsidize green power generation. You can use green power for your thermal energy needs, but it is still not competitive with, cost competitive with generating thermal energy.
We've got to have to figure out.
So you gotta go.
yeah, so that's probably a bigger problem that we can do on a county level. I mean, yeah, and well, that's the kind of thing that what we can do with local planning, right, is say, we want this to be a goal that we make this change, and we want to make this much of this change by this time, and be consistently working towards that, even if we can't switch over everything immediately right now because it doesn't make financial sense, and hope that also that federal regulations will sort of catch up to the cost of carbon and kind of be able to encourage that balance as well.
I can say that when we built the administrative building for the market,
which was a gold certified building. That all worked very nicely, but we couldn't justify the cost to make it a platinum building for the cost of the solar panels on the roof. We subsequently were able to put the solar panels on the roof under a different economic regime where it didn't make sense for us. But one of the things that we learned of that, I think, is that the cost of actually getting the certification is substantial extra cost in the building. Now, the thing to do is to build the building to those standards and not go through the issue of getting the actual plaque on the wall. Are you talking about lead surgery? Yeah, the lead certification, the gold certification, because that building was a gold certified building, and now if we're with the certification again, would be a platinum building because of the solar on it, but the cost of going through the administrative process to get the damn plaque is a disincentive.
Yeah, and that can be, you know, if we're going to regulate things locally, that can be something that we take into consideration, right? Like, instead of saying, oh, we want this many of our new buildings to be LEED certified to this level, we can say, well, these are the efficiency standards that we want.
But frankly, the
Right.
issue, the way to deal with that, one of the ways to begin to approach that is to try to get the building standards, the building code, such that they start getting closer and closer and closer towards the LEED requirements. And we find
Right.
all the incentives and all
Yeah.
the innovative ways to do that.
The state standards, the county standards are increased because that would help a lot.
Mhm.
Those are mandates. I guarantee you, start finding money from some sort. Not really.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and that's why these types of processes are really important, right? The elected officials in the county government need to hear that this is a priority for the community so that they can start to have some of those conversations. And that's why it's so important for people to get together and share their ideas so that we can start to figure out, well, are there solutions and solutions that we can present as part of this proposal to the county. So we really think that part of this plan should probably be looking at internal operation plan, here are some resources that we can convene to help make that happen. Because a lot of that happened with the city of Nashville, the community came together to craft the climate revolution, and then the community also came together to help fund and bring in grant funding to actually create a sustainable position. So it all starts with having these conversations. Yeah, and then identifying priorities for the community and working together with our elected officials and looking at supporting candidates, although we can't do that as the environmental center, but first of all, as supporting candidates that can help us achieve some of those goals as well. But it's good to just put it all out there. Like, what if the county built all zero energy buildings that were fully electric and completely powered by distributed solar? Let's throw it out there and like, I'll bring us part of that.
Well, yeah, and that's why these conversations are important to say, hey, when we're working on this plan, you know, what are things that the community is excited about, right? So.
But I definitely would invite you to put something good down so we can do the document then. We've been gathering feedback from all the corners of the community. So again, we have these strengths. So as we look at improving energy use in Deschutes County, what are some of the strengths that you see, some of the weaknesses, opportunities, or threats? And so, for example, strengths might be that there are community organizations who are already organizing gas bans or looking at what it would look like to electrify. That might be a strength or an opportunity. What are some weaknesses? I'll let you, I don't want to like plant the seed.
Not enough incentives.
There you go.
Yeah.
So we really do want to hear from you on all these things, even if they're things we already talked about or things might have come up before, because I think the more that we can show that there's a pattern and the types of conversations that are coming up, that's also really important.
Definitely. Are there any comments online, Lindsay? Questions?
Not yet on the June board.
Yes, online people. I don't know if they can type in the chat. If you can, feel free to ask me questions.
That's what advocates have lobbied for. So they
There you
haven't
go.
gotten to the other side yet because it's not very sexy. You know, like solar panels, it's sexy. People, you know, advocate for lots of incentives with solar panels, but
So that's why it's good
thermal
for,
energy is not sexy. So there's the kind of subsidies that you can get for, I think you just take geothermal energy in the ground, right? You go to Klamath Falls where they actually have, you know, a decent geothermal source. The subsidies you can get to tap that geothermal energy to make power are so much bigger than the subsidies you can get to tap that same geothermal energy for processing. Like, I can't remember the name of the brewery in Gidbon, but they have a brewery that runs, you know, they all their industrial processes on geothermal heat. You know, they don't burn natural gas to make heat to brew beer.
and geothermal heat has, I believe, Lindsay, correct me if I'm getting this wrong, but the geothermal heating things with geothermal has like a lower threshold than if you want to have a power plant that's geothermal. That's going to take a lot more geothermal energy, right? So, but almost anywhere in the state of Oregon, you could probably set up some geothermal that would heat your house. But that's pretty expensive, right? Like, so.
And if it's not enough to get your house as cool or as hot as you want, then you just use the ground for what it can do, and then you add a little bit of
Right.
You know, of supplemental energy to get it as cool.
You could do on a residential scale, you can easily do the passive thermal system. So just take it down about 60 or 80 feet, depending on what your soil is, you run a bunch of pipes, and then circulate it, and that would basically keep the house at a certain temperature as long as it was insulated from that.
Can't do most of the year, just the regular. Right?
Yeah, you can use an electric.
Yeah.
But like each are beneficial in their own.
I'm talking about passive
Providing that.
heating and cooling.
Heat expense.
Yeah. When you're talking geothermal, you're talking about you're going down to the heated lava area. Using that to,
I was talking about bigger scale things.
yeah,
But
two different things.
Yeah, if you're interested in geothermal, we have a recording on our YouTube channel of an event just like this that we did, where people who know a lot more about geothermal than me were talking about it. So
a very specific application of geothermal, because we have a whole lot of heat in the ground under the Newberry crater, but there's no water.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I have to get going, but I did just want to say, you know what, it's not because I'm being defensive about the county. The fact that this plan deals with the county scale, in my mind, doesn't make it that way. All the recommendations and kind of policy asks need to be about county activity.
right.
Exactly.
Yes.
There's massive opportunities to generate hydropower through in conduit, you know, turbines in the irrigation system.
Right, yes.
But that's not a county function.
Right.
It's just
So to be clear, this is
fine within-
a plan at the county scale, and we hope that we get support from the county, right? But this is also working with cities individually, working within the bounds of the county on a variety of different projects and goals.
If we wanted to develop a more local distributed energy sources independent of the major grid,
here in Deschutes County, the county would be.
Well, for permitting purposes, I'm sure that they would need to be.
You know, when you were talking about, asking like, how do you like lift green energy sources to a community? I actually think one of the best ways to do that is with municipal utilities. They're like the Eugene Water and Electric Board over on the other side of the mountain, where Ashland has a municipal utility. And in that case, like the community, the municipal jurisdiction, within Eugene, they have total control of where they get their electricity. And then they, that's who uses the electricity and pays the rates. Where they generate the electricity is largely from a big string of dams on the Mackenzie River. So,
Yeah.
but
And even if we don't,
control that power generation.
and even if we don't end up creating a municipal utility in the county, in Deschutes County, we do have smaller utilities already. We have cooperative utilities that it is possible to work with them to say, those are a lot more local than something like Pacific Power. And, they have the ability to have an energy project within their bounds and connect that to them. And that's how they get their energy. So that's another possibility.
I guess I'm thinking if you have some kind of wind, or if you have very large civil lines, or other types of major batteries, where it might have to be located outside of the city, on the county property, or something, local county lot.
Well, even if it's on county property, it doesn't have to be owned by the county. The project can be owned by somebody else.
That's the less property. So.
All right.
I mean, it's probably more likely you're going to want to kind of put it on B11.
Okay, that's another.
I did want to say though about the co-ops. They are very localized, but they have first dibs on the power generated on the federal dams on the 20th.
Right. So they end up getting a lot of their energy from Bonneville Power, which is largely hydro. But that's why I said it is possible to work with them. There are some barriers to that. So
I mean, it won't be enough for them ever.
Right.
To add to their portfolio, but the hydropower that they get from the Columbia River is insanely cheap. So getting them interested in investing money in electricity that's going to cost them 4 times as much per kilowatt hour is not easy.
yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
Well, I feel there are like 10 things that I want to be able to expand on. So there are different opportunities. So as Phil was saying, with the county owning less and less land, there's opportunities now for large organizations or government groups, or even the environmental center signing up for community solar projects, where we can use the economy of scale of creating these large solar projects regionally, where organizations can buy into and get support that project and get the solar energy from that project. And so there's opportunities like that for other organizations who have individual renewable goals, but then on a city or county level, one thing that the city will be exploring through recent legislation that was passed in 2021 with the 100% team bill is the opportunity to create a CRF. And so in the city of Bend's climate action plan, they have a 100% renewable goal. And one component of this state legislation will allow the city to say to Pacific Power, we want to see what a green rate option would be, and we would be able to set the goals around. We want 20% of that to be locally sourced, or there's a variety of ways that you can get clean energy, and they have various levels of benefit to the local community. And so we would actually be able to have a conversation as a community to set goals around where we want that energy to come from, and that's where a lot of that locally sourced energy could come into play, where we would actually, Pacific Power would sign power purchase agreements with local entities like irrigation districts doing in conduit or in hydro.
And they do this in piping everything now.
Yeah, so that's something that they've been doing a lot with irrigation organization work as they take the canals and pipe them, the water naturally becomes pressurized in the system. And there's a lot of places where they actually have to depressurize that water because it builds up too much. And they can generate energy with like a system that's already there.
Do they need to install the piping?
They can do retrofits with those as well, but a lot of that work is not happening in irrigation districts have been going, and there's more opportunity to add to those systems as well. And so that's just like one example of renewable potential that we have for Deschutes County that could be incorporated into this construction. But we're still figuring out how that program works. The rules are being developed. Yeah, you would set it up with Pacific Power to have what they call a green tariff or a green rate structure. Where we would say we want all our energy to be renewable. And that same 100% fee bill puts the investor-owned utilities on track to have to purchase renewable energy for 1 second. And then, but we would be able to accelerate it and do it a lot faster and say where we want to come from.
What is the deadline? So,
The city's supposed to achieve it by 2025.
2025.
We're still figuring it out. So the rules for that program are still being developed because it was just passed in the legislature. So that's one way to do it.
Is that just for the city or is that for the town?
That's just in the city of Ben's time.
I mean, but it's only for like commercial,
The goal is for the community. Yeah. But we would, like, if we wanted to approach the county with something like that, that's like an idea, to approach the county for and have similar conversations. And, right now, these are all really big conversations that we're still trying to wrestle with and figure out what is the best fit to ask of the county, what pieces do we have the community do, and try to lead with other community groups and what can be citizen-led versus government.
Yeah, the goal is not to dump this all in the county's lap and say, here, you got to do this. It's implementation of any kind of plan like this is going to be, especially since this is community scale, we're not just saying, okay, within this entity, this is what you have to do. It's going to be spread out throughout everybody who's willing to work on these goals together.
How can they help?
With the county?
Yeah, because our plan is, even though other cities in the county, I don't think that plan is.
Yeah,
we have the county to support those plans.
Yeah, I think there's a variety of ways that we could go about it. And there's a lot of different aspects. So whether that be developing their own plan, whether it be developing a plan for their operations, or something to do to implement in collaboration with other cities.
Yeah, or we might decide, hey, we think, the county or each of the cities should have like a community level goal for 100% renewable. That looks similar to the city of Bend, although it would have a different timeline.
Yeah, so.
That's a possibility. Right. Right. Yeah, so there's, Redmond and Sisters and Lapine. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, and this is a community level plan, right? So we would hope to be working with those cities directly as well and keep them in the loop and get their input on what should be in this plan. Yeah.
I think at this point there's still a lot more questions than answers, and that's why we want to have this conversation now. We need to get all of these questions out there and start to develop some structure around what does this look like and how much of an ask do we make at the county, and how much is the community willing to come together and actually help to formulate this plan? And where can we collaborate with other organizations? Right now, there's just like unlimited conversations that we brought up. So what are the feasible pieces, and where are the strengths and opportunities that we can
Well, everybody, feel free to get up, move around, put some sticky notes on the papers over there. Have another drink. We probably have some more drinks in the fridge, right, Lindsay?
that we just put on the fridge.
Unless you guys have more questions or discussions that you want to. I mean, yeah, this is the end of my slideshow. So.
What is the next thing we have to look forward to?
Yeah, so that's the next energy event that I'll be leading. And that'll be a local energy forum, which will be kind of an all day or most of the day event where we're going to have different speakers and talk about this, and hopefully, build up a group of people that are interested in working with this energy plan a little bit more deeply. So that's the hope. And we'll send you some additional information about that in a follow-up email from this event. So you can look forward to that. All right.
I'm going to end the live stream.
Okay. Goodbye if anyone's still there on YouTube.
There are now